All right, you guys, today we are going to be making a symmetrical centerpiece. So these are two very important words. Symmetrical means basically perfect balance on all sides. If you are going to take a photo, drawing any kind of art piece, and draw an imaginary line down the exact center, it is the same over here as it is over here. An example of this is like when I think of a Christmas tree, it should be even on both sides and then the trunk coming down. So draw that imaginary line and everything should be the same on both sides. It's a mirror image, if you will. Centerpiece means that I am gonna put this in the center of a dining room table, of a place that I'm gonna have a meeting, a gathering, a dinner of some kind. And so this needs to be a shorter vase so that as I build the arrangement, when it's sitting in the center table and we are all seated for dinner or the meeting, that we can still have an eye line towards each other for conversation. It's not inhibiting that. It is a decoration, but it's not overpowering. It's not gonna be super tall where I can't see the person across from me. So this vase today is pretty short. It's about 3 inches tall, but it is round because we're going to create this symmetrical centerpiece. It's gonna be viewed from all sides in a circular formation today. So if I were to draw you a bird's eye view, it has kind of a squiggle to it around the edge of the vase. It's a perfect circle. So for symmetry today, how I'm going to achieve that is I'm going to start with my tallest point in the exact center. And then my goal today is to have like a cascade dome all around it. So from the bird's eye view, what this looks like is that if I took a bowl and put it upside down, it is the same on all sides, but this center point is the tallest. It is the center of our bowl. Okay, so I have 3 plants to work with today. I picked just to keep it simple and also to help me achieve this. The more things you have to play with, the more it can just get over full and a little out of whack. So I wanted to keep it simple and really force you guys to recognize the symmetry and the purpose of this arrangement, which is to be shorter. So I picked 3 plants. I picked 1 main flower, 1 filler flower, and 1 greenery, and that is it. That is all I have to work with. So my main flower today is Astro, or Alstroemeria Peruvian Lily. That's our main. Our filler today is Solidago. And then our greenery today is eucalyptus. Besides being a cool texture, eucalyptus has an amazing smell. This is what you smell when you get like tea tree oil or a lot of like our hand soaps and like body lotion. And it's a pretty gender neutral smell because it's not overpowering, it's very fresh. So eucalyptus, I'm sure you've all smelled it before. So to get started today, to help me achieve this, this is a pretty wide necked vase, and all of these plant materials are pretty skinny stemmed. So I'm gonna start by doing what we call collaring, which is like a shirt collar around this edge of the vase, all the edges, because I am doing a symmetrical round arrangement. I'm gonna take my eucalyptus and I'm gonna start by placing it around these edges on all these points. It's gonna have a little bit hanging down over the edge. This is gonna give me kind of a bed or a pillow to place the rest of my flowers on top of. It gives me some stuff in the vase to weave into to help prop up my flowers. If I started just with the Alstroemeria single stem, there's so much space here that it's just gonna wobble and fall and it's not gonna stay where I want it to. So the eucalyptus collar gives me some stuff because these stems are kind of intertwined throughout here, right? It gives me something to work into. So this is a trick, is collaring. I'm not gonna use all the eucalyptus. I'm definitely gonna add more later. So this is just a small amount, but it helps me kind of set a framework, if you will. So that's my first step. My second step would be what I would normally start with, which is the main flower. And so now that I have some stuff to work with, this is almost like, sometimes you might have heard of people adding chicken wire This is creating that same like framework to weave into as the chicken wire. So alstroemeria is my main flower, which means I need to set my tallest point with it. And then I'm going to evenly, symmetrically space them out. So what I decided to do today was use alstro in the center. And then I created the 4 corners. But this is a round arrangement and I still had quite a bit left over. So I came back and I placed a couple extra pieces here and there. Again, symmetrical though, so it's the exact same on both sides. So I've got alstroemeria kind of all over the place. All right. My next step is to add filler flower, my accent flower. So solidago, I had 4 stems. So what I chose to do was place them in between the 4 corners. So that way it was symmetrical. And you'll see that here in a second when I show you the video. And then now that I'm done and I still have some empty space, I'm gonna come back to the eucalyptus and fill in the gaps. The cool thing with the eucalyptus that I got was I have actually 2 different kinds of eucalyptus, and one is more similar in shape to the solidago, our filler. So I actually used a couple of pieces of that to fill in these other gaps where I didn't have the extra alstro to kind of offset. They take up just about the same amount of space. And then I went back to my original type and kind of filled in a little bit more of the collar so that that was all even. Okay, lastly today, I did do a bow, but I did a traditional bow instead of a regular floral bow with wire. Because this vase has a neck around it, I decided to just bring ribbon right around the neck of the vase and tie it in a regular shoelace bow with long tails. So you don't need any wire for this one. I use chiffon ribbon, which you'll see in a second. It's a lot more flexible and it's just a little bit more bouncy and it looks better. Because we have all this stuff hanging down, it's kind of hidden, but the tails add a little bit of an accent and it just finishes off the arrangement very professionally. To recap, our shape today is super important. We are going for a rounded dome, symmetrical on all sides. So the shape is important as well as the balance, which is our symmetry. Those 2 are definitely our most important principles of design. The purpose is the centerpiece, meaning it's for a table with seated guests. So the line of sight needs to be pretty good over top. So this is a shorter vase. I chose it for that reason, so that it would serve the purpose. And then with our plants today, I did a fall color scheme to go with our current season, as well as my bow color matches that fall color scheme. Just like in the last arrangement, water management is still super important. So changing the water and keeping naked stems in the water is important. And then this dome shape is only achievable if you truly do have a tall point and everything else is shorter and cascading down from it. If everything was the same, this would be like a flat square instead. So really important that you have one tall point, and because we're doing a round arrangement, it needs to be in the center, not off to one side. And then everything else is doming down from it. All right, let me show you the materials and then we'll get started. My biggest suggestion, and this is a game changer for me in the last year, is when you're doing round arrangements that are going to be viewable from all sides, your best investment is a Lazy Susan, this turntable. This is something you can find at almost any store, and I ordered this off Amazon. I think it was like less than $10. This allows you to maneuver your arrangement all sides without picking up and disturbing anything, and that will really allow you to keep rotating, because the whole goal of a round full-sided arrangement is that if we are sitting down at the dinner table together, I should be seeing what you're seeing, what they're seeing, what they're seeing. And so we want to keep rotating to make sure that we're placing things symmetrically and evenly. And if all I have is just it facing me and I have to get up and move around, or I have to disturb it and it could cause motion, that changes things. So a $10 or less investment for a lifetime game changer. So that's pretty even all throughout. We're gonna adjust as we move forward because this is a symmetrical design. That means if I cut it straight down the center, that it's the same over here as it is over here. So I'm gonna pay very close attention to my stem count as I'm placing, and also how I'm rotating, that I don't put 5 over here and only 3 over there. I want this to be extremely balanced. Symmetrical is like perfect balance. So we're gonna move on now to our main flower. We'll then add some filler. We might go back and adjust as things move around, and then our greenery will actually be our last installment. This is our Alstroemeria, our Peruvian Lily. It does have multiple blooms on a single stem, which is good because this is gonna fill up a lot of space. Just looking at it right now, I'm not gonna be using all of this in the space. It's just way too much and I still have filler to go. But this is a very cheap flower and it's available almost year round in lots of different colors. I chose red because I wanted to make a fall themed arrangement. So I've got red and the yellow with the green, and we're gonna add a bow at the end. What I want to do first is set my tallest point and then work down from there. What I'm trying to do is create a domed shape, or like an upside down bowl, if you will. So the center should be my tallest point, and then everything else cascading down around it, but in an even position. So I'm gonna set my tallest point, and then everything else should be shorter than that, and also balanced. So all I've done so far is put my tallest point in the center, and then I've created kind of 4 corners, if you will. But because these Alstroemeria are so clustered, they're actually filling up more space than I originally thought they would. So I'm gonna stop for now and switch to filler. I'm gonna place filler kind of in all the in-between points, and then we'll see how much that fills it up. Sometimes we like things to be a little bit more loose and airy. Some people prefer it to be more mounded and compact, and if that's the case, I'm gonna add more of those. But I still also have some accent eucalyptus to use. Like, I haven't used any of the baby yet. So I'm gonna do this and then some greenery, and we'll see what it looks like then. Come in and add some more of our greenery. I'm going to focus on the baby spikes. Now that I'm looking at it, I really like how the arrangements come together. What I'm gonna do is two things though. I want my tallest point to be a little bit taller. To me, this feels pretty flat and not so much a dome. So I'm gonna replace my center guy with a fresh one since I do have some extras to play with. And then I'm gonna come around and adjust what we started with, the baseline, because some of that has moved and I wanna perfect that look. Other than that, I have a bow to do still and then we're gonna be finished. I wasn't gonna show all of that, but I'm leaving it in there because this is real life. Sometimes as you're designing, like you have your plan in place, things just don't come together. Same thing when you're making a bow. Sometimes you have your plan and you know how to do it and it just doesn't look right. So it's okay to pull everything out and start over again. I still achieved exactly what I was looking for, and I have things in almost the exact same spot. I just fiddled with it too much and stuff was so loose and it kept moving that I lost my structure. So now I have it all back together and I'm happy with it. It's a little bit more crowded than I would have liked, but I like the pungentness of the color and the use of the eucalyptus. To go with that today, my bow, I am only gonna do around the neck of the vase and tie it into like a regular shoelace bow. So I'm gonna be using chiffon ribbon, which is kind of see-through and kind of like a mesh, if you will. And I am gonna do a dual color. So I have like a burgundy and a gold to kind of go with our arrangement here. So I'm just going to go around the neck of the vase and tie a knot first so that I don't lose my place. There we have it, a round, symmetrical fall center piece.